Press release: Sun Travels fully satisfies the arbitration award in favor of Hilton with respect to termination of the management agreement relating to Irfushi Resort. Sun Travels and Tours Private Limited (Sun) has fully paid to Hilton International Managed Maldives Private Limited (Hilton) all the sums awarded by Singapore Arbitration relating to Sun's termination of the hotel management agreement dated 27 February 2009 between the parties with respect to Irfushi Beach and Spa Resort. The Sun has paid a total of $31,252,874.46 directly to Hilton as the amounts awarded by the arbitration and interest. Furthermore, Sun has incurred an additional $5.6 million as costs of lawyers and experts in proceedings related to the arbitration. Irfushi Resort, located on Medafushi Island in Nono Atoll, is a 221-room 5-star resort financed and developed by Sun, which opened its doors to guests in August 2008. It was the first tourist resort to commence operations in Nono Atoll. Irfushi Resort was successfully managed by Sun until Hilton took over its management under the management agreement. Towards the end of 2008, Hilton expressed interest in managing the resort while Sun was successfully running its operations since its commission. Hilton indicated that the resort was at a standard higher than other Hilton-branded resorts and that only a name change to the resort would be required in terms of rebranding. As a starting point, Hilton came up with version 1.1 of the initial projections on 30th January 2009 to demonstrate the additional revenue that could be generated from the resort if it was operated by Hilton under the Hilton flagship brand. Sun rejected these projections at the outset. Hilton then made changes to version 1.1 and submitted version 1.2 of the initial projections on 6 February 2009. Sun rejected the version 1.2 of the initial projections as well. In response, Hilton shared a set of revised projections for Irfushi Resort dated 26 February 2009 with much higher revenue forecasts than the initial projections. In addition, Hilton also disclosed to Sun a set of numbers to demonstrate the revenue generated from another property being managed by Hilton at the time. Hilton changed its numbers 3 times in a span of less than 30 days. Hilton's intention was to induce Sun into signing the management agreement by fraudulently misrepresenting to Sun the profits that would be generated by the resort under a Hilton management. For instance, Hilton increased the projected occupancy in 2010 from 56% in version 1.1 of the initial projections, 30th January 2009, to 68% in version 1.2 of the initial projections, 6th February 2009, and finally 74% in the revised projections of 26th February 2009. The gross operating profit (GOP) for the same year, originally projected to be $12.19 million United States dollars in version 1.1 of the initial projections, 30th January 2009, was increased to $16.55 million United States dollars in version 1.2 of the initial projections, 6th February 2009, and finally to an astounding $21.81 million in the revised projections, 26th February 2009, without any basis. Similar changes were made to the 2011 and 2012 numbers as well. Furthermore, in the negotiations leading up to the management agreement, Hilton had indicated that it would voluntarily walk out if it did not meet the targets projected. Sun executed the management agreement relying on the representation made by Hilton and its reputation as a manager of high-end resorts. The resort was rebranded and commenced its operation under the Hilton brand in July 2009. When Hilton presented the resort's annual budget for the year 2010, Sun was shocked and surprised to learn that in a matter of a few months, Hilton had projected the resort would earn significantly less revenue in 2010 than disclosed in the projections. Hilton had reduced the average daily rate (ADR) of the rooms from $520 in the revised projections to almost 50% less in the 2010 budget. Moreover, the GOP was also reduced along the same lines. Not only was this an indication that Hilton would be unable to match its projections, but as things turned out, Hilton was unable to achieve anything close to their budgeted figures by the end of the year. It was evident to Sun from Hilton frequently changing their numbers and from its failure to achieve the budgeted figures that Hilton had used these numbers without any basis and only as a means to fraudulently induce Sun into signing the management agreement with Hilton. The offer to take over the management of the resort came from Hilton. Management rights were handed over to Hilton on the basis that all operational costs would be borne by Sun, and on the premise that Sun would be able to enjoy the profits represented by Hilton in its proposal. Hilton is not an investor of the resort. Hilton had not spent a single dollar for the development and operation of the resort. All such expenditure was borne by Sun. Simply put, Hilton took over the management of an operating resort with all of the facilities and employees without any requirement to take on any financial burden. Hilton had run the resort at an extremely high operating cost during the 3 years of its management. Hilton had consistently been fraudulent and wasteful in procurement of consumables for the resort at exorbitant prices, causing extreme financial loss to Sun. Moreover, Hilton may have paid exorbitant fees, much higher than their market rate, to employment agencies to recruit employees for the resort. The resort, which had been doing very well before Hilton, started to make a loss because of Hilton's fraudulent conduct. Hilton was also in breach of its obligations under the management agreement to carry out regular maintenance of the resort, which resulted in the brand new property getting worn out beyond its age. The cost of these repairs had to be borne by Sun. Hilton had fraudulently misrepresented to Sun very promising figures for GOP under its management: $21.80 million in 2010, $24.05 million in 2011, and $28.46 million in 2012. However, Hilton failed to achieve anything close to these figures. Sun had to rely on its related companies for advances to pay off the dues to government authorities and financial institutions. To add insult to injury, Sun was also forced to seek rescheduling of the loans borrowed for the development of the resort, adding to the long list of costs that Sun had to take on. While Sun was under extreme financial distress, Hilton continued to claim its management fees under the management agreement without any deduction. Sun was eventually forced to terminate the management agreement as Hilton had failed to rectify their breaches of the management agreement, and since Sun was incurring damages because of Hilton's mismanagement of the resort. By then, Sun was technically bankrupt because of Hilton's fraudulent conduct throughout the management agreement. After the arbitration award was issued, Hilton used the media, various lobby groups, and its overall influence to portray Sun in a negative light. It was portrayed to the public that Hilton financed the development of the resort and that Sun had kicked out the investor. This was not the case. The fact of the matter is, a property fully financed and developed by Sun, which was at a standard higher than what Hilton was looking for at the time, was handed over to Hilton to manage, and Hilton failed miserably to achieve the figures that they had promised. The decision to terminate the management agreement and take over management of the resort was a necessary one to save the company at the brink of bankruptcy. It was a step that was absolutely necessary to protect the interests of Sun and to maintain Sun's image as a world-class hotelier. While Sun has paid the entire sum awarded to Hilton by Singapore Arbitration, Sun is still bearing the losses incurred as a result of Hilton's management and fraudulent conduct. The company will continue to take all steps necessary to overcome these losses and explore all legal remedies available. 1st of April 2024.